Hello again, Internet, and welcome back to episode 3 of the WonkyCast. I'm still trying to pull my brain together. It's shattered remnants from the Alice Aid fundraiser last night, which is a fundraiser that took place to raise money for turning Robert Rankin's Alice on Mars into a film. Which, if you've not looked at yet, I'll send some links across in the show notes for this, so you can go and have a look at the Indiegogo page. There's only a couple of days left to go on that, so if you want to see Alice on Mars getting made, then go and pledge your money over there. So this week on the show, I am talking to Steve Mould, who is one of the guys from Festival of the Spoken Nerd, also BBC Science presenter. Very lovely man who gave up some of his Friday to have a chat with me. So yes, here you go, episode 3. Enjoy.
Big fucking gun!
Cool. All right, let's do it. As I was going to say, you did your MA in Oxford. Did you do an undergrad in Oxford as well?
Yeah, I did. So it was a 4-year course. So when you do a 4-year course in physics, it's an MA that you get at the end.
Right.
And I loved it. I went to a college called St. Hugh's, which is probably less well known, but it's lovely. It's kind of it's right up north, and it's very sort of it's as working class as you could be.
Up at the Summertown end, is it?
It is, yeah, absolutely. But it's a very down to earth college. You know, it's not too posh.
Cool. No, exactly. I've lived kind of in and around Oxford for like the last maybe 12 years, something like that.
Do you like it?
Yeah, I love it. I mean, I used to run pubs and nightclubs in Oxford city centre, which was a bit weird.
Did you?
Yeah, I used to run the Gloucester Arms, which is the little rock pub, and I ran the Bullingdon on Cowley Road, which was a nightclub at the back, and yeah.
I know a guy who runs nightclubs, or used to, a guy called Baldrick. Balric.
Yeah.
Balric. I don't really. I mean, he's a friend of a friend, but anyway.
Right. Yeah. No. It's good fun. I mean, I that's why I've stuck around Oxford. It's a nice place.
I think it's beautiful. Yeah.
Yeah. Did you still live around that area, or are you somewhere else?
No, I moved. I moved to London. So I grew up in Newcastle, and I moved to London after Oxford. Just because all my friends were as well. You know, you make loads of friends at uni, and then the thought of sort of going back home and is, you know, difficult. But there was I'd started doing stand-up comedy at university, and I wanted to carry on doing it. And it, you know, there's an enormous open mic circuit in London, so it seemed like the natural place to go.
Yeah. What kind of got you to go and start doing stand-up?
Well, it was someone called Josie Long. She was probably 3 years below me, and she started in she was doing stand up when she was 16. I think she like won awards and stuff.
Yeah.
And so she wanted to start up a stand up comedy night when she started in Oxford. So yeah, I saw posters out of a go.
Cool.
And it was, I mean, it's probably the nerve-wracking thing I've ever done.
Yeah.
But then it gets easier very quickly.
Yeah. So did you just start out on your own doing stuff? What sort of stuff was it that you were doing originally?
Oh, you know, sort of nerdy observational stuff. And I did all right, and I started earning little bits of money doing stand-up comedy. And then I got into doing sketch comedy when I met Gemma Arrowsmith. She's a brilliant character comedian, absolutely fantastic. And we did 4 Edinburgh shows together.
Right.
And it was while I was doing that I got into doing science stuff as well, and started to hear about Matt and Helen. And it was 1 year when we were all doing shows, and we'd heard about each other, and we'd maybe been on bills together here and there, but we were all doing really nerdy shows at the Edinburgh Festival. 3 years ago? Yeah. Everyone was recommending that we go and see each other's shows. So, you know, there was people were saying, you got to go and see Helen's show, you got to go and see Matt's show. And they were being told to see my show. Anyway, we sat down and decided there aren't enough opportunities to try new nerdy material. So we started our own night, and it was an excuse and a sort of impetus to write new material, because if you've got a regular gig every month and the theme changes every month, you have to come up with. So that was we were started off in a little upstairs room in a pub, 40 seats. And we sold out 40 seats every month. So we moved to a bigger place. And so, yeah, it just grew from there, really.
Cool. Yeah, because I caught well, most of your guys' show at the Sci-Fi Weekend in Wales a couple of months ago.
Oh, did you? Great.
Yeah, because we met very briefly backstage, because I was interviewing Rene Auberjonois on the Saturday. I was kind of picking up some stuff, and you guys were just ready to get on the Saturday night.
Yeah.
How did you find that? Because that was a very different, that was a very nerdy crowd.
Do you know, it's interesting. I wasn't sure how it would go, because often when you're booked for a corporate gig, the energy can be really weird. So, like, we were booked for a tech conference once. Well, actually, it was like a coding conference. It was for web developers, And
yes, that's me. Hello, I'm a web developer.
Yeah. Hey, look, I mean, we love you guys, but the way it was set up was such that we were put on at the end after everyone was really tired and they just wanted to go home, and it just didn't, like, it was hard,
Yeah.
Whereas we did this conference for open source mapping geeks.
Yeah,
and they
again,
were just,
I've also done that.
Right, there you go. So they've been drinking all day, and it was just like, yeah, they were so up for it. And so when it comes to doing like a sort of sci-fi convention, we just didn't know which way it was going to go.
Yeah.
And in the end, we had an amazing time, and they just seemed totally up for it, So yeah, we were really happy with how it went. But it was a shame that Helen wasn't there. Hopefully, we'll get invited back, and we'll have Helen next.
Yeah, that would be cool. It seems like I should have seen you at tons of other stuff then, if you do web developer and geospatial stuff.
Yeah. So, we said, what was it? I did this thing about shapes of constant width, which you may or may not.
We saw it. We have some. My daughter came and bought some because she was at the Sci-Fi Weekend, and she was like, "Oh, I've got to have some of them. Brilliant. They're so cool." And so she's taken them into school and gone, "Here's these shapes of constant width," and everybody at school's got what?
It's hard to explain to the listeners what shapes of constant width are, but if you Google them, basically a 50p coin, although it's not a circle, is the same width no matter how you turn it, which seems counterintuitive. But anyway, the point is, I normally say, what's your favourite shape? Before I start talking about shapes of constant width, I ask the audience, what's your favourite shape? I'm only telling you this story because you might get the joke. When I asked that question at the mapping conference, they said shapefile. So, right, the joke works.
Yeah.
I was completely oblivious, but apparently a shapefile is like, it's the sort of the quantum of mapping data.
yes, it is. Yeah, that's the Esri and GIS standard stuff. I could sit and nerd out about that for hours, but I'm not going to.
Best not to.
That will really confuse people. Yeah. So I guess it's kind of a bit weird how it seems that there's much more opportunity at the moment for kind of nerdy comedy. Have you seen the kind of how that's come about in the last few years? What do you think has brought that on?
Yeah, it's interesting. Things have driven it. Sort of popular interest in science from the likes of Brian Cox, obviously. People getting interested in it. At the same time, comedians getting interested in science. The obvious being Robin Ince. So Robin Ince, I think, was at the start of it, working with Brian Cox and doing all those things. And a lot of my gigs are from Robin, and same true for Helen and Matt. And so I think it's people feeling that they can nerd out about things, just like, what are you interested in, what are you fascinated about, and actually whatever that is, you can probably make it funny in some way. So yeah, I think there's a growth from that, and also looking at things like science show off and this Steve Cross, his sort of stuff.
Yeah.
I wonder if that comes from the academia side a bit more, where these days, if you want to get funding for research, you have to you have to put somewhere in your budget that you're going to do outreach and public engagement. So there's all this money sort of sloshing about for engaging the public in science, and so people look into that and make it entertaining and interesting. So yeah, it's come from a few places actually.
Is this, yeah, you speak about kind of the outreach stuff, because I've read something about guerrilla science that you're involved with as well?
Yeah, I was involved with guerrilla science, and they still invite me to stuff, and I've not been able to go the last few times, but I'd love to do a few more things with them. I just because I was so busy, I had to pull back on some things.
Are you still touring Festivals of the Spoken Nerd at the moment, or is that because you were touring at the start of the year, weren't you?
Yeah, the tour is finished. That was immense fun, and bigger and better than the last one, and hopefully the next one will be bigger and better than this one. And that's sort of how you hope to go. But Guerrilla Science, I highly recommend trying to catch whatever they do. They're so innovative, and they do. They go to music festivals like Secret Garden Party, and they do amazing. They've got their own there. I had so much fun doing all that stuff. They're a bit like the sort of hipsters of the science communication.
Right.
And I say that with love. They're like the cool kids of science communication. I think they're brilliant.
Cool. Do you think shows things like the Big Bang Theory and things have kind of contributed towards the upswing?
I wonder if they have. The Big Bang Theory is controversial, isn't it? Because we're talking about the sitcom, not Bang Goes the Theory.
Yeah. No. But much as I do love Bang Goes the Theory as well, my daughter loves that as well.
It's controversial, the Big Bang Theory, among nerds, isn't it? Some people think it's great, some people don't. I haven't seen enough of it, but I mean, I've always found it funny that the contention is it a true representation of nerds? And of course, it isn't, because it's kind of like it's the Hollywood nerd, isn't it?
Yeah.
The kind of the way they dress and everything like that. But at the same time, it seems like they make an effort to get the science right and all that sort of stuff. So I'm pro Big Bang Theory, and it's at the sort of pop culture end of things, but it has its place, and I think it definitely has contributed.
Yeah, I mean, I think it kind of it swings a bit between both the kind of real science nerdery and then the kind of comic book and film aspects of it. So it's trying to kind of tread both paths, I think.
That's right. Yeah.
Yeah. What are you up to at the moment then? Are you busy writing new material or?
Well, so Festival of Spoken Nerd just did our radio pilot, which was very exciting. And a kind of a very new experience for us.
Yeah.
A new media to write for, and a new sort of writing structure as well. It's interesting in what you can do in radio. We stand there and we tell the audience, right, this week we're running a restaurant, and then we imagine all the nerdy things you could do when you're running a restaurant.
Right.
For the listener, they're just kind of like, it just works. And even though there's a live audience there and we're sometimes talking to them, they still believe that we're in a restaurant. It's a weird thing, but it just works. And that was several days of hard work, but it paid off, and the pilot went brilliantly well. I can't imagine it going any better. So if it doesn't get commissioned, it's because it's not because we kind of messed up on the night. I think it's not what they want. But it was so much fun to do, and fingers crossed, it will get commissioned, and then we'll turn it into a 4-episode series.
Cool. I mean, who's that for?
It would end up on Radio 4 if they wanted.
Radio 4.
yeah, it's the only destination I think for talk radio
Yeah,
about
sure.
nature. Um, and if it doesn't, we'll put it out as a podcast, and it'll be fun for everyone. Yeah, it's positive productions. We had a meeting with this guy, David at Positive, and it was just brilliant because often if you mention something slightly nerdy to someone, you think, right, I'm going to have to just quickly explain this, and we'd mention something, and David would sort of go, "Oh yeah, no, because of course matrix transformations, that's it."
Mm.
Like he just knew all that stuff, and we're like, I can't believe this guy exists, this sort of perfect producer for our radio show, total nerd. And we spent a lot of our meetings were spent sort of digressing on various topics of
Yeah.
science and technology. But yeah, so we've just finished doing that. What else am I up to now? I've so Festival Spoken Nerd. We've got a few gigs coming up. We're doing we've got the Underbelly shows. We've got three more of those, which is the Big Upside Down Purple Cow on the London South Bank. We're inside a purple cow performing that show, which is always really good fun. So that's going on. Beyond that, we will eventually start doing new material nights. But for now, except for those Underbelly shows, we've sort of got a bit of a lull, which is great because I've got various things I need to do. My wife is pregnant, so that's a. Thank you very much. So that's all happening. Matt's in Australia at the moment, I think. So yeah, it's all going on.
Wow. All right. Yeah. So yeah, it's you definitely need a bit of time. Yeah. And enjoy the sleep, sir, while you have it.
Yeah. Like I've got it. It's really boring, but like we've got to get a new kitchen before the baby arrives and all this sort of stuff. It's like totally mundane stuff, but yeah, lots of things like that for me to do.
So you kind of said a bit about how you got into it through stand-up and you're doing all sorts of different things now. You work in a lot of different mediums. Is there a particular medium that you're more fond of? Because obviously you've done the podcasts for Festival of the Spoken Nerd, you've done TV, you've done live stand-up. Is there a particular medium that you prefer?
I would say the live spoken nerd shows are the preferred medium, because we've pushed it to be this slick thing. We put production value into it. Helen was really the driver for that. Just making sure everything works. Just technically the best stuff that we do, and it's the stuff we've worked on the most and all that. So probably that. I mean, TV is a different thing. So far, the things that I've done have been someone else's idea that I've come into and sort of tried to make my own and that sort of thing, which is a really interesting process. But it's not the same as building something from scratch that's your own.
Yeah.
Which is what we did with, which is what we've done with the live shows. If we end up getting a radio show series, at the end of all of that, I might change my mind and I might say, actually, radio is my favourite so far. But I think probably the live show is just, and it's such an immediate feedback as well, which you don't get with television.
Yeah, true. Because of course there's a lot of the kind of online mediums as well. Because I know you guys put out stuff on your YouTube channels and things like that as well. Do you think...
I've got my YouTube channel as well.
Yeah.
Actually, I love doing the YouTube stuff, but it just takes a bit of time to make a video. And go and get everything set up.
Yeah, I won't go into how other people got interested in the movement of your balls.
yeah. That was amazing. When your YouTube video goes viral, that's a brilliant experience.
Yeah.
Very happy about that.
Yes, the mould effect. I have to congratulate you on that, sir.
Thanks very much. I mean, he said it once in the video, and I've been pushing it ever since.
Yeah, because in terms of that, there seems to be a huge amount of opportunity for people to self-produce content and put that out there into the world. Do
Yeah.
you, is that something that you feel you want to do more of, or is that something that are you happy kind of sticking within the kind of established production boundaries?
No, I would love to do more of that, and it's just a case of finding the time, really. Hopefully, actually, over the next sort of few weeks, I will have time to do that. There's a few videos that I want to make, and yeah, I plan to bash out a few more. It's sort of when you've got one viral video that's got 1.5 million views, then you make another one, you think it's brilliant, and it sort of gets 10,000 views, and you think, well, what happened?
No, no, yeah.
But yeah. I did my first collaboration video with James Grime, who you might know from, he's got his Singing Banana YouTube channel, but he does a lot of stuff at Numberphile as well, two great YouTube channels.
Yeah.
And that's brilliant because he's got loads of subscribers. So when I put that video on my channel and then he linked to it from his, suddenly I've got all these new followers. It's great. Yeah. So that's the way to do it. That's the way to get new followers, is to collaborate with other YouTubers.
Yeah.
Try and do some more.
Do you? I was going to say about the kind of promotion aspect, because it feels very difficult when you're trying to do your own stuff online. You kind of have to really start shouting about your own thing. I think that's very difficult, especially for British people. We don't like shouting.
Oh, it is. Yeah, no, it's sort of self-promotion. It's horrible, isn't it?
Yeah.
But you sort of have to. Yeah. You just sort of, yeah. I don't know how you do it well without sounding like an arse, but
yeah,
maybe it doesn't sound like that to other people.
I don't know, because I find it very, very difficult. I have to stop and look every now and then, because I'm kind of putting stuff out on Twitter and out on Facebook. I kind of step back for a minute and go, God, I'm just bombarding these people with stuff that they may not necessarily be interested in the slightest. But they're too they're too British to turn around and tell me to shut up.
Yeah, they just unfollow you. That's it.
Yeah. So do you find that a challenge, or?
I do. I'm not very active on Twitter, actually. I need to be more active. I think people follow me, so they think, why did I bother?
Okay.
But it is good to be on there, because people can tweet me and then I can reply. So when they've seen a video or got a question or something like that.
Yeah.
They often a lot of people tweet because they want to reproduce the beads coming out of the pot.
Do you get what? So you've actually had people doing fan videos of it, have you?
I have some fan videos. Yeah, I do. Yeah. I have a fan vine. In fact,
a fan vine. Oh, what, people just trying to do the mold effect out of a jar.
Yeah.
Awesome. Oh, that's pretty cool, sir. Presumably, have you had people trying to set gherkins on fire as well?
Well, the thing is about gherkins is that that's been around for ages, and in fact, Simon Singh was doing it way before I was, and then other people were doing it way before Simon Singh.
Yeah.
So yeah, that's been around a while. The beads are kind of like I can kind of take responsibility for, but there's very little else I can claim, but claim to own, or at least not own, but like I don't know, discover.
Yeah. Simon Singh, actually, yeah, because another thing that I'm very into is cryptography and that sort of thing. So I tend to go on his site quite a lot, because he's got some wonderful examples of how to use cryptography. Is that something that you've kind of looked at?
I haven't looked at his stuff at all on cryptography. I think it's really interesting. I've never fully understood how cryptography works. Like, I know it's to do with two prime numbers and you multiply them together, but I've never. I think the math gets quite hard, doesn't it?
Yeah, so some of it kind of starts out with the original. I think the site's called the Black Room or something like that, and it goes right back to the kind of history of cryptography, things like Caesar shift algorithms and stuff, which is just simple transposition keys, and goes from that right the way up to the kind of really hardcore stuff.
I just think it's brilliant. Have you seen Simon Singh talk about the Enigma machine?
Yes, yeah.
Actually, James Grimes got to talk about the Enigma machine as well. But I love one of the flaws that enabled us to crack the Enigma was the fact that a letter never is never coded to itself. So a K will never become a K, and a W will never become a W.
Yeah.
And there was a well, if you write a message and it's just a short message, you need to fill it in with like fluff, because you don't want the enemy knowing that you're sending a short message or a long message, because that is useful information, right?
Yeah.
So if you're sending a short message, then pad it out with crap. But what some of the what's I'm doing was padding out with a single letter. I think it was actually W.
Oh, hang on, I'm losing you again, sir.
The Brits were able to look at this thing and see that there weren't any W's.
Right. Okay.
And so this was one of the flaws of Enigma. And I just the way it was cracked is absolutely incredible, and just a really interesting story.
Yeah, 'cause I think there's an Enigma machine emulator on that website that you can just sit and play with and change all the cogs and stuff. And yeah, I love stuff like that.
We did a show at the I can't remember the name of the theatre now. Where did we used to do shows for a while? Cockpit Theatre.
In Leeds?
No. It's just north of Baker Street.
Oh, right. Okay.
And for some reason, in the bar area, they have this typewriter where you can just type stuff if you want. We had Simon Singh, and he was talking about the Enigma machine. And after the gig, we looked at the typewriter, and someone had just gone up to the typewriter and just typed loads of W's on it, which I thought was brilliant.
All right, cool. Anyway, sir, I shall not take up much more of your afternoon now. I shall let you get back to kitchens and so forth.
Thank you very much. I'm doing my tax return now.
So tax return's marvellous. That's nice and exciting afternoon for you. All right, dude. Well, thanks very much for taking some time out to chat to me.
My pleasure. Take care.
Cheers.
Big fucking gun.